Hello everybody. How's it going? Welcome to a capital hungry psychology webinar and also a real world rant. I guess you could say it's a rant, but I'm not going to be as aggressive and angry as I usually am. I want to discuss something as calm and collected as possible so I could really share the message as concisely as I can as well. So as you guys know, whenever I do these types of webinars, whenever I do any webinar, it's never planned ahead and it's never scripted. I usually just run a live stream whenever I'm feeling inspired. Even with all of the educational webinars you guys have seen on this channel regarding trading, any of the rants, any of the live streams, it's just right off the bat. As soon as I'm feeling that moment of inspiration, I just like to go live and discuss what I'm feeling, discuss what I'm talking about, discuss what I'm thinking, right? Normally I don't like to go by feelings, but you get what I'm saying. So in this webinar, I want to discuss something that has been heavily exposed by the pandemic. It's not anything new. This blissful ignorance of the modern society, this control of the 1% over the 99%, and this global power hierarchy, it is something that has been developing over the last 100 years since central banking first came into the world, right? That's where I personally see a lot of this global power, control, and corruption. It sources from the financial markets, and it comes as soon as that privatized central banking became a global concept, right? So what I'm talking about is we have already known, and we are all very much well aware, whether it's our grandparents, our parents, our great-grandparents, or ourselves, that the world is not a fair or justified place, right? There is tons of disorder and corruption as well as imbalances within the world. We are not living in some actual utopian society. So everybody is very much aware, whether it be your great-grandparents, your grandparents, or yourself, of the global power hierarchy that exists. Meaning, the harsh reality of the world is humans are controlling and dictating the movement, the behavior, and the discussion of other humans. And also, humans are not seeing each other as equal, right? This is something that is very much well aware, no matter what age group you are in, what country you are from, what religion you are a part of, what race, what your racial background is, what your political viewpoints are. We can see that the world has been running on this global power hierarchy through history. We've always had the 1% of the population control the majority of the population, and this has always been fueled by personal human greed and the hunger and thirst for more and more and more. It never ends, right? So we have constantly been portrayed as children, as adults, that the world is a good, kind, peaceful place, when and that good always conquers evil, when in reality it's actually the reverse. And those evil emotions, or those evil pursuits, I guess you can say, the pursuit of continuous power, the pursuit of never-ending wealth, the pursuit of that control, all being fueled by greed, corruption, and what you can call, and quote unquote, these evil personality traits. That is what is controlling our modern day world, and that is what has been controlling the modern day world for the last 100 years, right? But what this pandemic has exposed over the last year is how ignorant and uneducated the 99% and masses really are, right? It's been like over the last 100 years, it has been nothing but false senses of freedom, ruthless capitalism running this global power hierarchy, and then socially programming, especially in the Western side of the world, socially programming people to be like livestock, to follow a set system through generations of entering the education system, of then getting a job, and then working that job until you're 60 years old, and then eventually dying, eventually retiring, and then dying. This is discussed in more detail if you come to the Capital Hungry YouTube page. If you come to the Capital Hungry YouTube page and you watch the mentally weak and sick society, as well as this pandemic rant, and if you watch this central bank corruption, you are a debt slave. If you watch those previous 3 webinars, the ideas and concepts I'm sharing with you will make a lot more sense, because nothing here is conspiracy. Nothing here is up for debate. We are talking about events that have been proven time and time again in history. We are talking about a real world psychosis that the mass majority of people have entered. And we are going to be describing how in the modern world, this is being accelerated at 10 times speed with the innovations of technology and short-term satisfactions replacing human merit and accomplishment. It's absolutely disgusting. Right? So, I want you guys to look at it from your own personal perspective first. I'm just going to ask you guys a couple of questions in the chat. That's why I love doing it as a live stream, right? Have you guys noticed that even with all of these resources, tools, information, connections at your fingertips, that the world is seeming a lot more depressed, confused, lost? A lot of your real world relationships with your friends and family, it's becoming very surface level. A lot of your real world interactions with other humans, they're becoming very mediocre and surface level. There's no more depth and value in human interactions or connections anymore. Nobody is really trying to help each other become a better human being. Everybody is sort of living in this blissful ignorance of chasing their day-to-day short-term satisfactions. Even though we all understand that the world is controlled by the 1% who control the 99%. And this is a global power hierarchy that has been seen through civilization. You've always seen man conquer other man. You've never seen some alien species come down and say, hey, we're taking over. You've never seen another species evolve on the planet Earth and say, no, we're taking over the humans. No. It's always been humans controlling other humans. Humans deciding the narrative, the life path, the ideologies of other humans. Anything in history from what we can validate, whether it be religious text, whether it be any type of scientific research, whether it be any type of political standpoint, whether it be any type of financial system, it has all come from a human mind. Right? So this type of global power hierarchy, it's been seen, respected, and repeated through history, through civilization. Understand? But back in the day, it used to be physical takeovers. We didn't have the weapons that we had today, so it used to be physical wars, actually taking over a land, taking over the resources. Right? Nowadays, because we can't escalate into actual physical violence due to nuclear war. No country can actually escalate any type of global war or escalate it to that point of actual war, because it would just lead to a global nuclear war that fucks up everybody. Do you understand? So nowadays, it's become a war over the mind. Controlling as many minds as possible, putting people in a mental prison without them even knowing they are in a mental prison, without them even knowing they are livestock, without them even knowing that every single decision in their life has been decided ahead of time by another human, not by a god, not by some higher species, not by some alien figure, not by some next level energy source. No. This entire global power hierarchy system, the ruthless capitalism that runs the world, how it dictates and starts from the central banking and financial system, and then obviously trickles down into healthcare, media, pharma, food. This is all man-made. Understand? What is scary to me is that we all, in the back of our minds, whether you want to be ignorant or not, this is the reality. If you wanted to go put the time and effort into reading about how the global economies are built, how central bank works, you're going to realize that the central banks, just to give a quick definition, is the collective of humans that are dictating the money supply in each country, and it's all a privatized banking system. It's not owned by the people of the countries. It's not controlled by the people of the countries. It's not owned by the government or controlled by the government of the countries. It's its own privatized system. And if you understand that and you go, wait a second, so there's just a bunch of people who can print as much money or control the flow of money as they want, and essentially the whole world is run on that dollar. Every single religion, every single business, every single social issue, every single political issue, every single country, every single piece of country divide, it all stems back to the dollar. Right? The reason you go to school is so you can, and pay for school is so you can get a potential good job to survive. Our modern day survival has now been linked to the dollar, to the peso, to the yen, to the rupee, to the yuan, to the pound, to the euro. Our modern day survival as a human is linked to this. What's the proof of this? Well, look at some of these third world countries where people don't have jobs, people don't have these resources, people don't have these opportunities. They're suffering famine. They're suffering mass poverty. Right? People are literally dying of hunger in a world that is so absolutely plentiful, in a world where in the Western society, I'll go grab a Big Mac, not want to eat half and toss the rest out. But on the other side of the world, where people don't have access to that dollar, they don't have access to those opportunities, they are dying because your survival as a human is linked to the dollar. Everything stems back to the dollar. That's why they call money the root of all evil. Right? So now the 1% have been able to create this system where a person's survival is linked to this dollar. You need a certain amount of money to put clothes on your back, to feed yourself every day, to have a shelter. You need money for this. Beforehand, in civilization, it used to be survival of the fittest. You would literally go hunt in your groups for food, for that shelter. Nowadays, as civilization has developed, that need for survival has been diminished. The survival has been directly linked to money, to the dollar. Do you understand? So whether it's your great-great-grandparents, whether it's your grandparents, whether it's your parents, over the last 100 years, this has been the system that has been running the world. Especially ever since privatized central banking came into play. You've seen, I'm not saying there's not the few 1%ers or off cases where people open a business or they follow a passion and they get to earn more money. Even if you're earning more money, unless you're at that point of being in the 1% that can actually control or dictate the flow of money, you're still livestock for the 1%. Just like I've given this example before, a farmer has tons of different farm animals. Each different farm animal gets their own little section, gets their own little false senses of short-term freedom. The cows might get a larger field to roam around in, more grass to eat, but they're still caged in. The pigs might get a mud pit to roll around in, and feel free, but they're still caged in. The chickens might get some coops to go around in, but at the end, they're still caged in. They're all still being used for the production of the farmer. Even though the cow might think he's living a better life than the pig who's rolling around in mud, or the pig might think he's getting fed better than the chicken, they are all still farm animals to be used for production of the farmer. Just like some people might have a bit of a bigger house, some more luxuries than somebody else, they're still forever tied to earning that dollar or having a certain amount of that dollar for their survival. Right? Can we all agree on this? Some people might have a bit of a bigger backyard, some people might have a bit more cars, but they're still forever tied to that dollar. If they lost all of that money they had, they would lose all of that comfort. They would lose all of those false freedoms as well. They would go back to being just like everybody else. So please understand that concept that I cannot give solutions until people understand the problem first. All right? Now, Bitcoin and crypto, I understand what you guys are trying to say in the chat that, oh, this decentralized monetary system, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. The central bank is coming out with their own US digital dollar and their own decentralized cryptocurrency that's going to be replacing the paper dollar. It doesn't matter. The 99% are still controlled by the 1%. As soon as the 1%, the central banks, the guys at the very top who dictate the flow of money, who dictate all these various political issues, wars between countries, government laws, the corruption and greed itself, and have been running that narrative for the last 100 years, as soon as they want to dip their hands and take control over something, it's game over. What are you going to do to stop it? Right? Do you understand? The issue is not the fact that we could have some cryptocurrency come out that's going to be decentralized. That's not the solution. And it's not the issue. The issue is we have the mass majority of people around the world living in a blissful ignorance and choosing this blissful ignorance because it's easier to do that. It's easier to put it in the back of your head that the world is a completely unjust and unfair place. It's easy to put it in the back of your head that as we are talking right now, somebody in the Middle East is getting bombed. People in Africa are potentially dying of starvation. People in Asia are dying from some medical illnesses caused by mass pollution and the industrial and the mass amount of pollution caused from the industry. Right? This is all something that everybody is choosing to put in the back of their minds and actively ignore, because now in the modern day, right at all of your fingertips, instead of chasing true long-term achievements that bring happiness, which is personal merit and personal improvement, in my opinion, what really is going to make a human happier or more accepted of themselves and more aware of the world is somebody who is actively making the choices day after day to improve themselves, whether it's financially, mentally, spiritually, or physically. People who are actively making the choice to intercept this blissful ignorance and say, no, I want to learn more. I want to be in physical and mental and better physical and mental shape. But the issue is going on the path of enlightenment and learning more, going on the path of improving your physical stature and your physical well-being, going on the path of improving your mental well-being. All of these paths are extremely long and they're extremely difficult to go along. It takes a lot of time, effort, self-awareness, and critical thinking of yourself to be able to say, hey, I'm a fat piece of shit. Hey, I'm a dumbass. But this is all because I'm not putting the time and effort into learning anything. I'm fat or I'm extremely skinny because I'm not putting the time and effort into actually improving my physical well-being, even though all those resources, tools are at our fingertips, right? As soon as you can accept the harsh reality of the world, but also be strong enough as a human to say, listen, this is the way the world is. I can either choose to stay in a blissful ignorance like my grandparents did, like my great-grandparents did, like my parents did, right? I can choose to live that same path of going through some mediocre education, working some mediocre dead-end job until I turn 60, 70 years old, and having my children, having my great-grandchildren follow that same path and continue to fuel the 1%. Or I could take action in my life and choose to actively intercept all of these thoughts that society has embedded into our brains, thinking this is the way life is, this is the way life should be, even though it's not. Life can be anything really you make it. Just like the 1% have made life like this for them with this power and control structure, they took certain steps and actions to create this massive global power hierarchy run by ruthless capitalism. They created this connection of modern day human survival linked to a physical, monetary, money. This is all man-made. This invisible prison that the generations have been in is man-made. An example is the modern education system, and the education system itself was first developed in the Industrial Revolution age, right? To create factory workers. That's why in the school system, you wake up extremely early, you have to be at school on time, you follow bells, you only get a certain amount of breaks during your school days and lunches. You're learning to follow instructions, do tasks on a timely manner. The education system, it doesn't teach people to learn and enlighten themselves and actually be better. It teaches them to be workers. It teaches them to learn to get a task, complete it at a certain time, follow the bells, wake up early. School days are just as long as work days. People have been running through this systematic programming for 100 years. Having people be bred into becoming workers from the age of 5 until the age of 18. Getting bred to follow instructions, work on a timeline. If you don't finish something by a certain timeline, you get a bad grade. Just like when you go to your job, if you don't do what your boss says, you're going to get fired. You're not going to get paid. Right? The modern education system is the monetization of knowledge. It is not actively helping anybody learn or grow their mentality or knowledge unless you choose to do that. If you follow the generic system, you're just going to end up living in a blissful ignorance because it's much easier to live in that blissful ignorance. Right? So now the pandemic has exposed this by tenfold, in my opinion. We already know that if everything starts from the dollar in the central banking system, in the financial system, that means everything down the line, from the pharma to the media to the healthcare to the food system to the governments, it all follows a single narrative to keep this in line, to keep this active. Right? The financial system, healthcare system, the financial system, and what trickles down from it being healthcare, big media, pharma, food, education, and the governments, it does not have the best interest of humans, of the mass majority of humans. It has the best interest of the 1%, just like it has through society and history. right? Personal growth, long-term achievements, personal merit, something that makes you proud of yourself, that makes you grow mentally, physically, or financially, has been replaced by a mass spread short-term satisfaction. You could go on your phone right now and go watch whatever porn you want. You could go gamble right away and you could go order whatever drugs you want. This is like a continuation of that other webinar. You can get whatever drugs you want. You could get whatever short-term satisfactory desire you want in a snap of a finger. This consistent hit of dopamine is giving people the false sense of happiness. Day to day, people are becoming zombies, coasting by, living in this blissful ignorance with this false sense of freedom and happiness. Right? Because even with this massive false sense of freedom and happiness, with actual personal human interaction, satisfaction, and growth being replaced by short-term impulsive desires, what are we realizing when we're looking at the world? Why are we in the most depressed generation ever? Why is everybody the most confused, most lost feeling, most uneducated? And I'm not saying most uneducated compared to like the 1800s. I'm saying so uneducated compared to the mass amounts of real information we have at our fingertips. People are choosing not to read about this information, learn about this information, or educate themselves. So in a world with so much information on any single industry, topic, no matter what it may be through history at our fingertips, you have people dumber than ever. How can you deny this too? How can you deny the fact that children at the age of like, and how can you deny the acceleration of this, right? Now you're seeing people being accepted for no matter if you're obese, no matter if you're extremely skinny and unhealthy, people are being accepted no matter if they are in an extremely unhealthy state because it's a blissful ignorance. It's easier to accept everybody in that state and just let them be unhealthy and die and continue living in this state of ignorance and bliss rather than doing something about it. Look at the stimulus checks. Look at all the financial handouts that are being given with the pandemic. This is conditioning people for a universal basic income system. The 1% wants to get rid of the individual world governments. They want to have a one world government. A one government controlling the entirety of the world with just little factions in each country. Right? Do you understand? They want people to be as dumbed down, as unhealthy, as uneducated, low confidence, low self-esteem. That's what they want. The 1% is loving everybody arguing about racial divide, social issues, LGBTQ, arguing about politics, arguing about fat acceptance or not acceptance, arguing about... They love this shit. They love all these distractions that the 99% are keeping themselves busy with while they're still being farm animals for the production of the 1%. They love it. Why would they love it? Would you not love it? If you were in that 1% group, if you were in that percentile, you would be doing the same thing. You wouldn't be going back to help the 99% or wake them up on this. You would be exploiting it the same way. I would exploit it the same way, and so would you. Right? But as being part of the 99%, when are we going to wake up and take power back as the people? Divided we get conquered, united we stand. This isn't just some cheesy saying. Right? This whole pandemic has exposed the mental weaknesses of the 99% of society. How uneducated the 99% of society are. How they have no backbone. How they will do whatever they are, how whatever they get told, they will do it. Lock down, close up shops, take vaccines, go back and go to work, don't go to work. Whatever they say, you're gonna nod your head and do it. And this has been exposed to the greatest extent because now we're seeing everybody getting even lazier, getting these financial stimulus handouts, which is just gonna turn out to be a universal basic income model, which completely destroys any sense of personal self-worth or earning. You know what I mean? In my opinion, true human values and personal growth, long-term achievements and personal merit, it has been lost. It has been lost. We have been, all of that has been replaced. So the first thing, survival has been directly linked to money. Long-term achievements and personal merit, true human values and personal growth has been lost and replaced by mass short-term satisfaction. And with all of this short-term satisfaction, with all of these dopamine hits, with all of this social acceptance, with all of this social programming being validated and exposed even greater by the pandemic, why are people so confused? Why are people feeling so lost? Why are people feeling so depressed? Why is this the most depressed last 10 years in the history of humanity? Why are 10 to 15-year-old children getting put on Xanax, antidepressants, ADHD, Prozac, whatever the fuck it may be? They need something to help them focus more and energy. Then they need something to help them bring them up more. Then they need something to help them sleep. What happened to achieving that through your own personal growth and mental development? The mind is the most powerful tool we have as humans. And that tool is being controlled by the 1%. Do you understand that? The most powerful tool we have is not our physical strength. It's not our looks. It's not our biological makeup. It's our mind. It's our brains. And in our modern world, that is what is being targeted and being controlled. As soon as you can control a person's mind and their narratives, you control the person. Everybody keeps getting these short-term dopamine hits every day when you scroll on social media, when you go to watch some porn, when you go to take that drug hit again, when you go to drink some more alcohol. And now, as people have been locked down and forced to stay home over the last year, what do you guys think has been accelerated? A person's desire for personal growth and achievement, or the short-term satisfactions and the dopamine hits? I don't know about you guys, but in Canada, they shut down the gyms, grocery stores, and all small businesses were shut down. Anything that could help improve your mentality was shut down, but liquor stores were open. Liquor stores stayed open the entire pandemic. Right? Do you know why? Do you know why the medical reason why liquor stores in most countries stayed open through the entire pandemic? Because actual medical experts knew that if they closed down liquor stores and cut off the access to alcohol, there would be more patients in the hospital for alcohol withdrawal symptoms than actual COVID-19. That is the harsh reality. If they shut down liquor stores in the majority of countries where people use that liquor or drug every single day, every single night, every single week as a method to stay blissfully ignorant and stay completely numbed out to the harsh realities of the world, there would have been more people in the hospital having alcohol withdrawal symptoms rather than for COVID-19. But you don't see alcoholism as a pandemic. You don't see global tobacco as a pandemic. You don't see global hunger, famine as a pandemic. Everything here that we are experiencing is predetermined, controlled, and decided ahead of time. Right? What these lockdowns have done, shutting down the economies, Because at the end of the day, Walmart's and these big brand stores, Amazon, Walmart, Costco's, they were still open. It's the majority of it's the mass majority of the 99% who had their small businesses destroyed, who lost their homes, who lost their livelihood, who got locked down and shut down and had stay-at-home orders. So now you have people who are the 99% of people. Let's walk through the pandemic. You have the 99% of people who before the pandemic were already living in a blissful ignorance, were already uneducated, unaware, lost, and confused, depressed, right? Then you have this massive fear come into the scene. What is one of the easiest ways to control people? Fear. Psychologically, one of the easiest and most efficient ways, it might not be the nicest, it might not be the most humane, but psychologically proven through history, the easiest way to control people is through fear. So then, when you already had the 99% living in a blissful ignorance, uneducated, ignorant, unaware, lost, and confused, then all of a sudden you have this mass global fear over a biological attack that could kill them, that could kill their parents, their grandparents, their loved ones. It led to a global lockdown and shutdown. So now, on top of this, ignorant, unaware, lost, confused, and depressed, you add what here? You add fear. You add big fear. Right? So now, when the 99% are all of these things, what is gonna exponentially increase as people are locked down, stuck at home, have nothing else they can physically do, and are experiencing all of these? What are they gonna run to in an exponential fashion? What do you think people have been running to in an exponential fashion? Do you think they've been trying to work out even harder, trying to learn more? Maybe, yeah, a few people. I don't want to knock down everybody. But no, the 99% have been drinking more, smoking more, doing more drugs, even on spending more hours on social media, more hours on mindless entertainment that brings them no value, being advertised to them more. Even going to the worst food, worse drugs, worse media, and guess where all that is going to lead you back to? This healthcare system. It's one big circle. It's a one big circle going around and around and around and around and around, fueling the 1% in the middle. It's just one big circle. All right? Do you understand? Does this all make sense to everybody? There's no conspiracy behind this. You guys can see this when you're looking around at the people around you, with your friends, your family. You just have to wake up and actually accept it. Because long-term achievement, personal merit, and personal growth has been lost, because we've had mass fear induced, because people are exponentially going after short-term satisfaction, now all relationships between people, social interactions are feeling extremely surface level and extremely mediocre. Social media is becoming even more fake, even more surface level and destructive. Right? The people who actually are behind the central banks, we've never even seen their faces, heard their names. They don't want to be seen. They don't want anyone to know their name. Why would they? They're in control. We just know the front face as the central banking system, but there's people behind that created the privatized central banking system. Anything up to that is for speculation. But it starts from the central banking system, from what we can prove with the information we have as the 99%. It starts from the financial system. It starts from the dollar. It starts from linking the dollar to a person's survival. That's where the control starts. The social programming over 100 years, that's where it's accelerated. The pandemic just completely blew this out of proportion. This is a state of psychosis. This is a mental disorder the 99% are in. This is not healthy. This is not in the best interest of humans. This is not how society should be or has to be. But it is much easier to continue to chase those short-term spread satisfactions, continue to get your daily dopamine hits from watching your favorite TV show, watching your favorite movie, having your favorite drink, fucking that bitch you want to see, going to gamble, following directions, following orders. It's much easier. It's an easier choice. It's an easier choice than facing the harsh reality. But you know what the key in all of this is? Choice. As long as you have control over your mind, you can make the choice. You can make the choice to be different. Do you understand? You can make the choice to do more, to increase your value as a human, to raise the people around you, not just tell people what they want to hear, not just be surface level kind to people. Actually have other humans' best interests in mind. Say, hey, go to your friend and say, hey, you could be in much better shape. It would make you a lot happier. You'd be a lot healthier. Hey, you're not liking your dead-end job right now. You have the time and extra hours in the day, if you put the time and effort in, to go learn this skill set, to go get involved in this industry. Right? To potentially earn more money. But at a young age, due to this social programming, everybody comes out of the womb, and let's just say this is you in a box, right? This is you. As soon as you come out, you get put into a box with a lid on it. And people get told their value, their worth, their knowledge, their self-esteem, everything, it gets told within this box. It gets told by society within this locked box. This, hey, whatever grades you got in school, this is your knowledge level. Whatever you're getting paid, this is your value. Whatever your body type is, whether you're obese, this is what your attraction is. Everybody is getting graded and valued ahead of time based on this social programming and system, right? You have to be able to open this box up and break the fuck out and create your own value. The 1%ers mentally are the ones who can take that bottle cap off their lid, take that lid off themselves, and start actually putting the time and effort into expanding their skill sets, expanding their knowledge, and proving themselves day by day 1%, 0.01% better day after day, physically, mentally, financially, and spiritually. As soon as you start chasing that personal satisfaction and achievement, that's when I feel people will not be feeling as unaware, as lost, as confused, or depressed. That's the true solution to this mass blissful ignorance and psychosis. It's an individual's choice. And then when you have the individuals come together as a collective, that's when the 99% starts changing. Do you understand? There is not one decision that we can make that's going to change this system. There's not something that one government can do in the world that that one person can do alone that's going to change this system that's been set in stone for the last 100 years. It has to come from the collective choice of the 99% to accept reality, remove themselves from this blissful ignorance, and start working as a collective for something greater, something better, something more than this fake psychosis. Than living day to day going after your dopamine hits, but in reality feeling confused, lost, depressed, unaware, ignorant. Right? That's why when you guys understand this information, I can't accept the information that my government is giving to me about this pandemic. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't follow it. I can't trust it. How could I possibly trust it when the system has been like this for 100 years? When we've had previous pandemics before, or previous financial crashes following the same steps. Right? And the people who are in that blissful ignorance, who are our great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, it's not their fault. You can't be angry at the people who are living in this blissful ignorance. You can't be angry at them or have any type of resentment towards them. Because it's so extremely easy to get socially programmed in this fashion and follow this system. It's not their fault. Right? If we want to truly enlighten people or truly start changing things, we have to be more mindful of how we share this information with people who are living in a blissful ignorance. Because it's not easy to have people come out of this mental state, come out of this mental disorder, I like to call it. Right? We have to take back true human values and personal growth. We have to take back those long-term achievements and personal merit. We have to start cutting out these dopamine hits and mass spread short-term satisfaction. We have to start being honest with people, not having a surface level or fake kindness that doesn't bring value to anyone, that doesn't do anything to you, that doesn't do anything to them. Right? If you guys want to start being part of the solution, first you have to take ownership and accountability that you have been living in a blissful ignorance. All right? Then you need to start creating a plan and taking action every single fucking day. Every single day. And you don't have to overwhelm yourself or put an extreme amount of pressure on yourself to become a millionaire, billionaire overnight, or to become some type of Greek god physical stature, or to become extremely confident when you're shy. No. As soon as you can first accept and take accountability and responsibility as a human for living in this ignorant state, that's step one. Then as soon as you can take action day after day to improve yourself mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually, 0.00% every day, that's step two. As soon as you can start being real with the people that you care around you, your close friends and your family, and not be surface level or fake kind, that's step three. Because then you can start bringing value to other people's lives, at the same time increasing your value and actually creating a real relationship with that person. Right? And then consistently chasing that personal merit and decreasing your short-term satisfactory gains, decreasing the amount of social media, decreasing the alcohol intake, decreasing the amount of shit food you eat, decreasing the amount of time you waste on pointless entertainment and media overall. That's step 4. Step 5 is staying on that path through a period of years to create your own system and coming out of this system. All of this that I'm saying is not easy. It is extremely hard. Do you understand? It is extremely difficult. You're going against the grain. You're going against the system. But this is the only way you will actually bring true value to yourself and the people around you. Everything else has been causing you to be unaware, lost, confused, depressed, sad, no energy, angry, resentful. All of your relationships to this point are surface level, mediocre, fake. The social media and media you follow is fake and destructive, false expectations. Right? It is a hypnosis. It is a state of psychosis that the 99% are in. I just wanted to share my 2 cents with everybody. Right? I just wanted to share my 2 cents, my viewpoint, as objectively as possible, as somebody who has actively been trying to improve themselves financially, mentally, and physically, but has been put down by the masses, being told that I'm way too aggressive, I'm way too angry, I'm doing too much. My energy is misplaced. My aggression is misplaced. My masculinity is misplaced. I don't think it is. I think I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing as a human. I think I'm trying to help other people go on that path as well. I think I'm seeing past all this fake nonsense. Right? I know the harsh realities of the world. I know that all these issues are distractions. I know that the 99% are living in this blissful ignorance. But if I can get more people thinking in this fashion and starting to actually improve themselves day after day, guess what? Now I'm having an actual impact on people's lives and my own life. This is a ripple effect. Word of mouth is the best advertising way still in history. You know? But yeah, I just wanted to share my 2 cents there. Because this pandemic, the fear around the pandemic, the nothing is following logical sense. Even like the vaccines came out in 4 months. You know what I mean? Anybody who took a vaccine is a guinea pig at the moment, is a test dummy. All these vaccines have only gone through emergency approval. They have not been fully tested or approved. Every other sickness, bronchitis, strep throat, the common flu and cold, all that shit disappeared the last 2 years, the last year, eh? Now, no matter if somebody has a cough, COVID. Sore throat, COVID. What happened to just a regular cold? Having bronchitis, having a viral infection that you go get antibiotics for, just like any other infection you've had. You get what I mean? You see the social programming? You see how the media can manipulate you to think what they want you to think, even though nothing logically makes sense? Nothing statistically makes sense. The numbers don't make sense. The health process of it doesn't make sense. The science doesn't make sense. But it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense, because it's making sense for the 1%. The blissful, ignorant 99%, they're going to believe whatever they're told. Right? I just wanted to share that because my this channel has already been getting censored pretty hard. Like, I've already been losing views and shit like that, and not getting as many views ever since I started posting these webinars. I used to do this on Instagram all the time. This is one of the one of the reasons my Instagram got taken down when even though I had like 20,000 followers. It was not nothing crazy. But if you guys watch this, the pandemic rant, if you watch the We Are in a Mentally Sick Society, Abdul, I don't give a shit. People die every day. You know what I mean? Your family members are gonna die regardless sooner or later of something or another. They probably just gonna say it's COVID. They probably had underlying health issues. They're probably senior citizens. You know what I mean? I'm not saying COVID itself is fake or anything like that along the conspiracy. I'm talking about something completely different. Yeah, this is a good one too about central banking. Send me the chest ray scans and I'll check it out for you. How about that? Send it to me right now on Telegram. Show us the proof. You probably have all this stuff still. Like, they would give it to the family and everything, right? Send me the pictures. Send it right now on Telegram. I'll be waiting. I just showed you. You know? But anyways, thank you guys for attending this webinar. Do your part and share this around. All right? Share this webinar around. Share it to your social media, your Facebook, your Instagram, your Snapchat. Share it to different trading groups. And thank you guys for watching. Yeah, I appreciate it. Take care.